Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hugging My Chaos. Welcome to a new episode for season number 4, where we're trying to discover our path. And that's why I brought a very, very special guest today. She's a really close friend, and she has a lot of knowledge about this specific topic. That's why she's perfect for this conversation. So, let me give you a quick let me give the microphone to Zainah, which I always have a hard time pronouncing. How are you? How you been?
I'm good. Oh my gosh, I feel so excited and I feel like so famous. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I'm like, this is such a big deal and I'm literally a nobody. I feel so honored. And you're on season 4. That's such a big deal. Girl, I'm so proud of you.
It's Thank you. It's divided by like, it's not like a whole like 30 episodes. It's just like by topics, you know?
Mhm.
Right now it's the college, trying to find like your college path, just because a lot of my friends have struggles with that.
Of
But
course.
I've had like different like mini topics like character, so it's that's why
Mhm.
they're gonna go by so fast. But
Okay, okay.
tell me a little bit, give me a background information about the majors you've tried, because I
Okay.
heard you once talk about it. I was like, that's crazy. Share it, please.
so I originally, when I started college, I started as just like a general business major. I kind of was always on the path to business because my dad was starting his business when I was around 11 years old, and he always like had me involved in some way, like even if it was a simple thing like coming up with a name for his business or what color should my taxi be or like anything simple. Like I would always be involved, but then as I got older, I got more involved, more actually working for him and stuff like that. So I always knew I was going to take the business route. In high school, I was in like an entrepreneurship academy that helped kids like have the foundational knowledge if they wanted to continue studying business in college or if they
Mm.
wanted to start their own business right out of high school. So that's kind of what I was like going into college. I was like, I already know, like, da 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 da, with a big old head. But then once I started like taking these classes and I was, diversifying like my experience and growing up, I kind of realized like, oh, I really, really like the creative side of business, and that's how I got into marketing. Um, and I just like at this point, like I had never really explored much. So then, as I was taking these classes, I was like, this is the route that I definitely want to go. I'm having the most fun, and I'm still applying the stuff that I was doing all throughout my life, and then like as a kid, throughout high school, and then like in my beginning years of college. So, I really had only tried one other major, but then it still like it took me to the path that I graduated with.
Okay, okay. Correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, but one time
Mhm.
I overheard a conversation, and when we were doing the study hours, and you said
Mhm.
that you had like multiple like associate's degrees. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you
Yes.
tell me about that?
Yeah, so I'm just crazy. I have 5 associate's degrees, and this was because when I was in the city college, I was in the honors program, and I had joined the honors program super late, and I had to take a certain amount of units within like their program, a certain amount
Hmm.
of honors classes. So I ended up taking a lot more classes than I needed, but it ended up getting me a degree, an associate's degree in business administration and economics, which is what I was originally going
Hmm.
for. And then with the other classes I had to take, I got math and science, social human behavior, and then arts and humanities.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
because of the program.
Yeah, that was, well, a lot of the classes overlapped, but it was because of the program, the honors program that I was in, that I did get all the 3 extra degrees.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I was like, you basically have a lot of degrees.
Yeah.
How do you think
Yeah.
that's gonna be useful in the future?
I think, having that background, I'm a huge, huge, huge proponent of like furthering your education,
Hmm.
and I've always said, my parents have always told me, people can take anything away from you, but they can't take away your education. Like that isn't going to
Hmm.
go away, you know? So I definitely think, it's something to fall back on. You
Hmm.
have, once you learn something, like, unless like something crazy happens to you, God forbid, like you're not gonna just like it be gone,
Hmm.
um, so even if like you decide, like I'm a marketing major, but if I decided one day, oh, I want to go into the medical field, I want to be a phlebotomist, I want to be a nurse, I want to take that program, I'm always going to
Hmm.
have this business degree to fall back on. I'm always going to have these associate degrees to fall back on. And I do not recommend taking 18 units, 21 units in a semester, but it's always going to be there for me. You know what I mean?
I feel you. So you think that it's
Mm-hmm.
important to have different like options when it comes to like
Yeah,
education, or Mhm.
I definitely think it's important to try different things, and within those things, if you happen to take other classes that, excuse me, that end up getting you like a minor, or that end up getting you, like a certification, or even just to take classes for fun,
Mhm.
I feel that that is really valuable.
Mm, mm.
Hmm.
Just to clarify, you went to community college first, right? Before
Hmm.
starting. How did
Yes,
it help?
So it helped a lot financially. I was in high
Mm-hmm.
school. I was a really good student. I had a really good GPA. I did 3 sports. I did extracurriculars. You name it, I was that. I was that student.
Wow.
And then
Mm-hmm.
when I applied to college, it didn't work out the way that I wanted to, or the way that I was preparing for. So
Yeah.
it wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it wasn't my first choice to do community college.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I ended up loving the fact that I did it, because in California, there's a Promise program. And if you don't know what that is, basically, like, you get your first 2 years of education for free. It's paid for by the state, if you go to community college. And that includes tuition, and your books and any supplies. Like, I needed calculators for 3 different math class. I got 3 different calculators because it was all paid for. And then I resold them, and I
Wow.
made that
Mhm.
extra, like, $150. Um, so, and then on top of that, I qualified for FAFSA, and FAFSA was sending me that refund check. So I was just putting that into my savings. So, because of that, that really helped me build up my savings on top of the fact that I was working. And it just eased a lot of financial stress that I was, like, about to experience, or about to, like, go through when I moved to San Diego, once I, completed my transfer application and everything. And I decided San Diego is where I'm going to go to get my bachelor's. It really helps with that.
How long did it take for you to transfer from a college to a university?
So the standard is 2 years. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
call, like, for example, San Diego State. A lot of people refer it to, like, a 4 year university. You anywhere that you can get a bachelor's from is considered a 4 year university, because it takes 4 years to complete that degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then associates are 2 year universities. So it took me. I mean, again, I'm crazy, and I had units from high school. It took me a year and a half, but the
Wow.
standard is, yeah, the standard is 2 years. Um,
Damn, that you're fast.
yeah, I know, but the thing is, I'm just crazy. So this isn't like, oh, I'm so good, everybody should be on my. No, do not. I do not recommend what I did.
What was the most stressful thing that you did, like over, like trying to catch up, I guess?
um, as far as, like, the stress in community college, my first year of college was when the pandemic hit. So
Okay.
adjusting to
Yeah.
that, like, that new learning environment. But I'm crazy, and I've always just been someone who throws herself into work. And so when that happened, I really was just like, let's get it, I guess. Like, so that's when I started taking those 18, 21 unit semesters, because I was like, I'm
Damn.
not doing anything. I'm just at home anyway. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's oh wow. Okay, okay, okay. Did you ever had you said that you always kind of knew that you were going to go into the business route?
Hmm.
Mm, what advice would you give someone who like doesn't know?
Um,
Cuz you already had that background, so
right.
I feel like that makes it easier for you to like choose something. But a lot of
Hmm.
people just don't know where to go. How
Of
to
course. And, I've always said, it's kind of unreasonable to expect, like, teenagers to decide
Mhm.
what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, when it's only, like, the very first, like, and you really only have, like, a short amount of period to decide, because then you need to get on it.
Mhm.
So like, my best advice would be, like, you know, what would make you to feel proud to talk about? Like, is there something when because obviously people are going to be like, oh, you're in school. What are you studying? Like, what are you going to feel proud to tell people? And that's different for everybody. Some people it's, I'm pursuing a dance degree. I'm getting my bachelor's in biochemical sciences. Everybody that's different. So what is based off of your values and who you are as, like, your own self, what is going to be something that you're proud to talk about? And,
Mhm.
like, anybody can get any degree, But, there are people who graduate with accounting degrees and they're like, I wish I did something different. There are
Mm-hmm.
people who graduate with, like, it's just it's just about, reflecting on your own sense of self. And on top of that, like, think about any passions or hobbies or anything like that you would be content with doing as your career, and
Mm-hmm.
this is also to keep in mind, like, there's a lot of people who love to say, like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really believe that, because you could absolutely love your job, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be hard days that come with it. So if,
Mm-hmm.
like, let's say, you have like a little, like, you like to crochet or something. I don't know, this is just off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see yourself doing that as a career? Like, you like to do it, but it's not something that is like, not something that's going to drain you every day doing it. But at the other day, on the other hand, you're going to have to understand, like, oh, this is like, this is still something that I'm going to have to put all of my effort into. If I start a business, that's going to be draining and exhausting, and there's a lot that goes into
Mm-hmm.
starting a business. So, just keep that in mind. And then on top of that, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, volunteer, do internships, do work any odd job. This is the time to experience and experiment with, like, the things around you, and just try different things out. You could take,
Mm-hmm.
like, I did an internship at a financial company, and I was like, okay, I did it. I'm happy that I did it, because now I know I don't want to go into finance. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to, like, do those things and realize, oh, that's not what I want to do. That's what they're for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I feel you. I feel you. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
a word. You mentioned a quote that what's it called again? You can
It's
do.
like, pick something that you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Okay, could you like clarify why you don't like it?
Because I think that sets an unrealistic, yeah, I just think that it sets an unrealistic precedent for what to expect when you're going into, like, you're starting your career. Because I think people get so caught up in, like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know, like, what I'm passionate about. I don't want to, like, pick the wrong thing and then hate myself because I hate what I'm doing. It's natural to not
Mm-hmm.
love your job all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're constantly hearing, like, just pick something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life, like, that puts so much stress on someone. And you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand, even if, like, like, I worked a job that I love at a restaurant, that doesn't mean that I didn't have a hard time, some days. It doesn't mean that I didn't deal with difficult customers. It doesn't mean that I didn't have a hard time with my manager every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But don't
Yeah.
you feel like every like path has their own hard things? You know, like
Of
every single
course,
path
of
has.
course.
I feel
And
like
that's
no.
why,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, go ahead.
I feel like no path is linear. You know, like no path it has is gonna be easy at all. Like at all. You know.
1,000%. And that's
Mm-hmm.
also why I don't love that quote, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
again, it puts that unnecessary stress, that unnecessary pressure, and it sets that unrealistic, like, expectation for what your future is going to be like. There's going to be hardship
Mm-hmm.
in everything. The average person changes their career 3 to 4 times throughout their life. So it's okay to go through those changes, and if you're someone who is constantly telling people, like, just pick something that you'll love, like,
Mm-hmm.
you could love a restaurant job. You could love starting a business. That doesn't mean that it's going to be difficult. That doesn't mean that
Mm-hmm.
it's not still work, is what I'm saying.
Mm, I feel you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of my friends that happens. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
know what they love. They're like confused.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I have no idea what I love. I just know that I want financial stability and that's all they want,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, that I see why it can be hard for them to like
Mm-hmm.
pick something that they love because where do they pick from, you know? And like
Exactly.
they might have hobbies, but that's
Mm-hmm.
different than having something like a purpose, like a
Of
passion, you know?
course. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Exactly.
do you think that passion and purpose are real, or do you think that's just another part of like a hobby? You know, like you said.
I definitely do think that they are real, but they it has more, like, value to me. It has more value and more meaning than just, like, applying it in a career sense. And for some people, they are passionate about a lot of things that have nothing to do with their work. Like, for example, me, like, I'm a very, like, religious person. I'm on, like, a personal, like, spiritual journey where I'm very, very passionate about God and dedicating myself to my faith, and that's what I'm on right now. And as much as I am thinking about my career, that doesn't have all of my passion. You know what I mean? My religion is what gives me purpose. And so it's if you don't have like an absolute passion for um what you do for work, or like you don't dream of a career, like that's also totally fine. Everybody's different. I think there's a lot of
Mm.
pressure that's being put on, like your passion has to be your career. It's
Oh, I
okay
feel
to
you.
have that work life balance. You know what I mean?
I see. Yeah, yeah. So you're basically saying that, yeah, because a lot of people put a career on a pedestal, like, oh, your career
Mm-hmm.
has to make you passionate, and also has to make you money, and also has to make you all of these things,
Yeah,
And
it's a lot of pressure to put on one aspect of your life.
mm-hmm. I feel you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So why? How do you think you can balance that out? Like, because you don't want to be unhappy in your career, because that's your
Of
job or
course.
whatever, because that's
Mm-hmm.
where you spend the most of your life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But
Of
you also
course.
want to like enjoy your passion. So what would
Mm-hmm.
you say will
Mm-hmm.
be the best way to balance them out, or to like try to figure a way to connect them? I don't know if to connect them, to balance them out, or to enjoy them in a different
Mm-hmm.
in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's totally okay to like, have those different parts of your life and not necessarily have them intertwined, but also if they work intertwined for you, that's amazing. Um I think I there was this advice that I read in a book in high school that was like you should have three different hobbies. One to keep you active and fit and healthy, one to keep you creative, and one to make you money. And sometimes all those three things, like if you're like a fitness influencer, all of those three things will get you. That's one thing that'll get all of those three things done. But then there's also people who are like, oh, I like to go on hikes, but I also like to read books, and then I like to invest my money and then those are three completely different hobbies that complete all of those three things. And there's obviously a lot of other things that provide value and are fulfilling in people's lives, like relationships and family and all those things. But I think being conscious of the fact that, like, you know what is taking all of my time, and when I do have that extra personal time, what am I doing with that? Am I just sitting in front of the TV, or am I doing stuff to take care of myself at the same time?
Can you elaborate on that? Can you give me like more?
Yeah. So like we go to work full time,
Mhm.
40 hours a week. What are you doing with the rest of the hours a week from your, when the time you get off, when you get off of work, assuming you have like no other responsibilities, what are you doing from
Mhm.
that 5 p.m. until you go to bed? What are you doing on that Saturday, Sunday? Everybody's work schedule is obviously different, and this isn't necessarily like including the life of a student, but like when you have that extra time, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Do you have like a skincare or self care routine? Are you praying? Are you meditating? Are you doing things to keep your mind sharp? Are you, painting or crafting or whatever other hobbies that keep you creative? Because those
Mhm.
things, when you do the things that you love, when you do the things that, make you happy, like that is what helps relax your mind, and that is what helps provide that work life balance, so you're not constantly thinking about, wait, like, oh, I have this and this to get done when I go to work tomorrow. Because that shouldn't, as much as important as that is, that shouldn't consume your entire being you know
Mm. And I think that's our problem. Like, we're
mm-hmm.
trying to make our work our life, like we're trying to like
Yeah.
make it all revolve around that, and there's so
Yeah,
much pressure. That's why we want to make the right choice, right? Because
exactly.
we want to live our
Mm-hmm.
life good, but we don't know that there's some more to life than that, right?
Exactly. And
Or what
that's
do you
not necessarily our fault, because we do live in a society where we're expected to, like, all of our time goes to our work. That's why there's that whole like work wife, work husband, work family environment, because they're trying to get you to normalize being in the office and seeing that, like, crossing the boundary between professional and intimate relationships. And
wow,
that's not
that's
something that I'm a very huge proponent of, because I think you should have those different aspects of your life, because you know you're not whole but made of nothing. You're whole
mm-hmm.
because you're made of different parts of
Okay, that gave me a
your
different
life.
yeah, perception shift. Like, That
Mhm.
makes so much sense. What do you think, why do you think people get confused on trying to pick on a major? That's what we're talking about. Like, but can you
Mhm.
like try to
Yeah, so
give me more
back to the
examples?
major
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
So again, like this is a huge decision to make, and there's so much stress that
Mhm.
is like put on people, and it's just like such a big decision to make, like especially at such a young age. Um, and like I feel like part of also what goes into it is that as kids or as teenagers, we're not really oftentimes we're not really exposed to different extracurricular activities, or we're not like
Mhm.
we don't really have the opportunity to experience a lot of hobbies. So I think it's also okay to go in undecided, as long as you have the mindset like I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna keep trying different things until I find something that is like this is what I'm passionate about. So again,
Mhm.
doing volunteer work, doing internships, taking different jobs that is like a like more or a step above like a fast food or a restaurant or a retail job. There's nothing wrong with them, but at the same time, like if you're thinking about a career, unless you're thinking about a career in that direction, that's not really going to give you much value in that sense. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that's definitely what I would, some advice
S-
that I would give if you're confused about picking a major is just don't be afraid to try different things, or even join different kinds of clubs and organizations on campus. Like there's a million different clubs for all of the different majors on campus.
So if people don't like figure out, like they know what they're
Mm-hmm.
passionate about, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just personal, but they never figure out like what path they should take, what
Mm-hmm.
should they do? Like, what do you think people should do? Should they just
So
enjoy life and go to a mountain and meditate all day?
no, I think this is actually so funny because this is advice I got off of Modern Family, the show.
Oh, that's funny.
so,
That's where
so
you're now.
this is what I'm about to
She's like,
say.
I did
Literally
my
comes
research.
this.
Matter.
So I watched the show. So what he was saying basically on the show is like if you're on a track, or pick something that is gonna help you pay the bills. Pick something that's gonna be stable. If you have absolutely no idea, pick something that's gonna be stable, something that you're okay with doing, something that you again have that love hate relationship with. Like I don't enjoy doing this all the time, but I'm good at it, or whatever. Pick something that is gonna provide you that stability, because at the end of the day, especially in this economy, that's what everybody's looking for. And then later on, because again, that whole thing about can people change their career on average about 3 to 4 times in their whole life, in their adult life. So that is something to be open about. You have that foundation, you have that stability. Then it like, I don't know, at 35, 40 years old, you're like, oh my gosh, I have this passion. I really want to go for it. You already have that to fall back on. You have something to like to keep you grounded and pay your bills and provide for your family if that's what you have at that time, you know? Um, and then, like, if you get to that point where you're like, I'm really passionate about this, go for it at that point, because you have that foundation, you have something to fall back on. And then if it works out, amazing. But if not, then you have your safety net. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I have. Let me share with you what I know,
Mm-hmm.
and like let me try to give you my opinion as well.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
because I have like I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand
Mm-hmm.
like
Of
the
course.
perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen that people who chase money, they get
Mm-hmm.
lost in trying to get it right, because you always are gonna need more money all the time. Like, you're
Of
gonna have more
course.
expensive, you're gonna have more things. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you chase the money, if you chase what gives you more money, you're gonna just lose your track, you're gonna lose your path, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm
You
trying to
lose
understand.
focus.
Exactly, because of course, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you chase the money, yeah, it's nice to have like financial stability, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I know a lot of people, a lot of my family, because they're older,
Mm-hmm.
who've done it, and like it's never enough, you know, it's never
Mm-hmm.
enough. So I've seen that many of us are trying to chase the money, are trying to find financial stability, and I know why that may be scary. Of course, like, I know the
Mm-hmm.
economy, but at the same time, I'm my idea, my ideology is that you can find different ways to like make money, but
Mm-hmm.
if you make it all about trying to find money, you're not gonna you're not gonna get it because it's gonna be, first of all, the path is gonna be harder, it's going to be more challenging, and you're just gonna get the money, you're not gonna get the experience, you're not gonna get something else, you know. So what
Exactly.
are your thoughts about that? Because you mentioned that, you said that
Hmm.
it's important if you want to chase the money, if you want to chase financial stability. Do you think that people
Yeah.
should chase financial stability all the time?
I think, what I was saying was more so like, to have that understanding that, your passion might not come when you're 20 or when you're
Mm-hmm.
20 something in college, and that it might come later, but and this is our time, like in our 20s, it's our time to make those mistakes. And that's kind of more what I was getting at. And if you really, really are lost, it's is what I was going after was that, have that financial stability so that way you can and take the pressure off of yourself that you absolutely need to do something that you love and you're passionate about. That's more so what I was kind of getting at. But at the same time, I think you are absolutely right about people who only chase money. There are so many people who decide, what, I'm not going to go to college right after high school. I'm just going to go to work because I can make so much money, and I don't need I don't need to be wasting 4 years of my life. But the thing is, getting your education is an investment in yourself. And um, the whole thing, like you said, like if you're chasing a check, like you leave things behind. You lose focus. You stop thinking about other things in your life where like the other things that have importance. There are people who do nothing but work and try to make as much money. And like you said, once you touch a little bit of money, it's never, never, never going to be enough. And you end up missing out on things like birthdays, graduation, major milestones that your family is going through. Like you lose sight of that. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to take those things with you in your grave, And I know that's probably a little morbid. I'm so sorry, but at the same time, like, it's the reality. Life isn't just about making money, and as important as financial stability is, it's not everything. I mean, not financial stability isn't everything. Making money and making a check isn't everything.
I agree. So
Mm-hmm.
are you saying that, because I'm trying to come up with
Yeah.
my like own type of conclusion. So you're saying
Yeah.
that people who don't know what to do with their life, or like with their major, because their life is something different, but with their major,
Mm-hmm.
they should chase something that will give them money to explore different things, to have different opportunities, to have
Mm-hmm.
different um to not be stuck in trying to just only pay the bills, to only to have
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to explore and get to know different areas, but don't make it your whole goal, right? Because if
Yeah.
not, you're just gonna forget what's the purpose of having all this money
If you don't have
if
anything
you
to do
don't
with it,
actually
anybody to share it with.
exactly, you don't enjoy
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Uh-huh.
I think this again, it goes into the whole work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's important to have
Mm-hmm.
money, but it's also important to have life experiences. It's important to have people around you to share those experiences with. It's important to have, you know, you know, loving and fulfilling relationships too. And that
Uh-huh.
can be like your money, a partner, a spouse, your money, sorry, your family, your friends, your partner. That is what I mean.
The first thing on your mind,
The
literally,
first
she was
thing
like,
is
"With your
money,
money."
and I'm telling you, money isn't important, but that's all I gotta hear.
That's funny. Your money,
My bad.
your bank. That's
The
funny.
Amex, you know what I mean?
Do you, okay? You come from like business background, business background. Your dad is a businessman.
Mhm.
Do you think it's important to stay an employee forever, or do you think eventually you'll have to make business of your own?
Me personally, for myself, this is I don't think I see myself in the long run working for anybody else. I definitely I've had dreams of opening up my own business. I'm not going to say much about it because,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you. Yeah.
it's still very new, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
in the process of starting something on my own with my dad because he has like a parent company, and we're like I'm on a path to have my own little business under his parent company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already the kind of track that I'm on, even though I
Okay.
am currently, I have a job and I am an employee.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's valuable to be an employee, because it teaches you a lot of things, and learning never stops. You can learn well into your 80s, 90s, up until you're on your deathbed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think that it has value working for other people because they can provide insight that you cannot get on your own, and
Mm-hmm.
that's also why it's important to do volunteer work, to do internships, to try different jobs in different fields, because you learn so many different things working for so many different people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But okay, okay. What's the difference between staying an employee and having your
hmm
own business? You've been already like you've seen your dad, you've seen
hmm
your life. What's the difference between being an employee and having your own business?
so when you are an employee, obviously there's the benefits of learning. There's the extrinsic rewards of, like,
Mm-hmm.
the validation of them telling you, like, you're doing such a great job, or like, I really love having you as someone who works for me, and I love the work that you do, all of that stuff. When you, like, start to own your own business, and when you start working for yourself, it's a lot more of, like, it takes a specific personality, because you have to
Mm-hmm.
be someone who's driven by intrinsic rewards. You have to be someone who doesn't
Mm-hmm.
need the validation of other people. And that's not to say the people who are employees don't need, you know, don't have intrinsic rewards or have that mindset also. But at the same time, when you are working for yourself and when you are doing things on your own, and there's nobody else telling you good job, and there's nobody else telling you,
Mm-hmm.
like, all these things that you're doing right, it can be really frustrating, really daunting, and really scary, because even if you're doing the best thing, even if you're doing amazing, there's still that level and that aura of uncertainty, because there's
Yeah.
no external validation. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And on the other hand, when you are, like, the business owner, when you are doing something on your own, when you're, that self-sufficient, there is that, you know feeling of, like, I'm doing this on my own. There is that,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, self-respect. I don't know if that's the best word for it, but there is that, feeling of accomplishment, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say. And
Like
and
fulfillment.
exactly, that feeling of, like, I'm proud of myself for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And as amazing as that is, or as good as that feels, that might not be for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, there's the other hand of, being the employee of someone else. It's like, am I doing enough for myself? Am I going to leave a lasting impact? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? So there's definitely pros and cons to both. It just depends on yourself. And a lot of people who also value that work-life balance, and a lot of people who also, are like, what, I don't care what I do for work, as long as I can have enough money to fund my bills and my hobbies, and fund the life that I want to enjoy. I think that more so would have a little bit more benefit of working as an employee, because that provides a little bit more stability. But there's also that other personality of, I need to do this for myself, and I need to be able to provide for myself, and I need this sense of accomplishment. So again, it's not a matter of one is better or the other. It's depending on, like,
Mm-hmm.
yourself and how you know yourself as a person, and um like, what would be most valuable to me, what is going to help me achieve my specific goals in my life as a whole, not just my career goals or my personal goal. What is going to help me attain what I want in my life at the end of the day.
I feel yeah, because we all
Mm-hmm.
value different things, right?
Exactly,
Like if
exactly.
you're
There's no
more
cookie
driven,
cutter. Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because yeah, that makes so much sense. Because if you're driven, if you're more competitive,
Mm-hmm.
like me, and I know you are competitive too. Like of course that's gonna excite you. Like it's gonna be part of, like, it's gonna be nice to have a challenge to, like, to
Mm-hmm.
have your own experience with, like, the workforce, and like sometimes you'll be able to, like, sacrifice more of your life just because that feels exciting to go for that, right?
Exactly.
But at
Exactly.
the same time, I've seen people, and I get that point too. Like some
Mm-hmm.
people don't really want to do it. Like they're all
Mm-hmm.
right with having work life balance, like you said. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're all right with, like, enjoying their money. They're all right with
Mm-hmm.
enjoying what they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's also okay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, again,
I
there's
feel like we're
no
trying to
cookie cutter.
we're
There's
yeah,
no
we're
like
trying to.
specific path that someone should take. There's no like, oh, I absolutely need, like, everybody absolutely needs to do. No, because everybody's different. You know, everybody has their own personality, their own values,
Mm,
their own like goals and whatever what they want out of life. What I want out of my life is different from what you want out of your life. It's different from what freaking Donald Trump wants out of his life, Joe Biden wants out of his life. You know, they're all different, you know? So,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's where the pressure comes in, huh? Because like
Mm-hmm.
you see that there's only like one specific model you should follow, quote unquote, you should follow. But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, there's so many paths, there's so many ways, there's so many goals
Mm-hmm.
that you may not. There's so many personalities, right? That you may
Yeah,
not like, yeah, that you may not like enjoy.
exactly. And that's
Mm.
it. Going back to your question about like the stress, like, you know, we're told literally from like when we're in elementary school, you know, like, you have to go to college and you have to do this and your life has to be exactly this way. But like, you know, as important as going to college and getting your education is, there we're just drilled in one specific thing in our head our entire life. You know, that people get lost and they don't think about the fact that what they don't think about, what do I want? What do I want to get out of my life? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we forget that we also have a choice. We have an option. We have our own values and our own personalities and stuff.
Mm. So like trying to integrate all of that, right? Trying to integrate your
Mhm.
personality, your values. What do you want out of life? Do you really
Mhm.
want to like what process you want to take? You know, because every path has a different process. And are you
Exactly.
okay with the results that each process offers?
Exactly. And it's like, again,
Mm.
it goes back to that first thing that I said about, you know, what are you going to be proud of when you talk to people? You know, for
Mm.
someone, it could be, I'm really proud that I went to college and I got an accounting degree. Someone else, I'm really proud that, you know, I started a business at this age and I'm doing really great. And
And
then
that I
someone else,
dropped
it could
school,
be,
you know, like uh-huh.
exactly. And then someone else could be really proud of, you know, I went to college, I got my degree in something that I don't absolutely love, but I make enough money that I pay the bills and I fund my vacations and I fund my hobbies and I fund the things that I get enjoyment out of. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's what they're proud of looks different. And that really requires you taking a look at yourself and being like, what do I value? What am I going to be proud of? How am I going to feel that intrinsic reward? How am I going to feel that internal satisfaction and fulfillment in my life as a whole, not just in my career, in my work, in my school, in my personal life, you know, as a whole?
Oh, I feel you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel. Yeah. That makes Modern Family helped us.
It really did. Shout out Jay Pritchett.
I think yeah, it's important because it's important to know that everyone's different. Even like
Mm-hmm.
people that you see, the people that you admire, like they have different goals, they have different paths, they have different
Mm-hmm.
personalities. You know, like you may not like the path that I'm gonna take or the path that you're gonna take. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
copy your path, I might be miserable because I might not like it. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
That makes so much sense. What's Thank you for that. Thank you for that. What advice
Yeah.
would you give someone like overall, like who's trying to understand not only their career but like just their path? I think like we already like talked about this, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you could sum it up, what advice would you give them?
I think I would again go back to the whole, what are you going to be proud of when it comes to your life? I would start off by, you know, sitting down and having a conversation. Again, I'm crazy. I sit down and I talk to myself
Me too.
because,
Don't
you
worry.
know,
Don't worry.
because it's like, you know, you can think about things all you want. You can think about things, but you know, I think part of why a lot of people overthink and a lot of why, you know, we get so stuck in our own head sometimes is because we're not hearing things out loud. And I think once you hear things out loud, you hear your own voice
Mm,
saying, like, you know, you have that conversation with yourself or you write it out, whatever works for you. You know, just having that tangible something that is like, what am I going to be proud of? What do I want out of my life? You know? And
and
again,
like,
this goes,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
And I feel like it's important to also quit the distractions. You know, like the noise outside.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, because when you're in your own head and when you're, you know, you're overthinking, it's like you, especially with someone like me who has ADHD and I have a million thoughts a minute and it's just like going at a speed I can't even keep up with. You know, it's like if you're in
Eminem.
a, yeah, literally, literally. So, if you have that moment to yourself where you're like, you take that time, and some people it's prayer, some people it's meditation, some people it's like, I just need to journal or whatever, whatever works for you. But making sure that you are taking into account what you want and figuring out what that is. And you might not know, but if you have just a baseline, or even starting out with, I don't know what I want to do, but here are the things that I'm going to do to figure it out. As long as you have that drive to want to figure things out, even if you have nothing, if you have that drive to figure it out, that in itself is gonna get you very far, because that quality and that determination um really like shows your character, and people can tell when you have that. You know what I mean?
Hmm. That's what a person that I interviewed, like the first interview that I did for this season, told me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he said that it doesn't matter. Like, the degree is gonna be a booster for you, but at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it's who you are, the person who's carrying that degree. Like, you
Exactly.
literally cannot have that degree, and you can have different opportunities just because of the drive that you have, your personality that matches your, what you said, your passions, your lifestyle, your goal, everything. Wow, that was powerful. Yeah. What are your, one last question just to like
Yeah,
end it up.
of
What are your
course.
biggest fears? I don't know. It's the first time I ever asked these questions. Cuz I usually ask what advice would you
Snakes.
give your younger self? But but this time I was like, you know what? Let me change it up. So
Yeah.
you're going to have the new improvised version. Let's see if we like it. What are
Oh
your
yeah.
biggest fears of the future? And how do you plan on solving them? Cuz let's have a solution. Let's not end on a negative
Mm-hmm.
note.
Yeah. So I guess, I'm no different from anybody. I have doubts. I have, like fears about like what my future will hold. Everybody's a little bit nervous about the things that they don't have any control over and they have no idea about. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Um but I guess the biggest thing is like, what I'm working on right now, I'm very, very passionate about it. And I think I'm, through like I'm think I go through different phases when it comes to like hobbies, when it comes to like work and all this stuff, but like, just the little random jobs that I like to do here and there, like, and even though as passionate as I am about the thing that I'm working on right now, I'm also very scared about getting stuck and then losing my passion for it. I'm very like, yeah, and like, everybody goes through ruts, everybody like has their own things that, like out external things like family things, or traumatic life events, like things happen, that. And I guess I would have to say that like my biggest fear is that I lose the passion that for the thing that I'm working on right now, because this is something that I am really excited about. I've been working on it for a couple of months, and even though it only has been like a short amount of time, like I've never felt this way about a project, about anything in my life before. And because I've, gone through those phases and I've lost the passion and the interest of the things that I had before, I'm kind of nervous that this is going to happen again, because this is something that I'm looking at long term. This isn't something that I'm just like, oh, this is the thing to make money right now. So that's that. But then as a solution, as a
Yeah.
solution, like we mentioned, we want to end on a
Okay, thank you everyone.
yeah.
Just kidding.
All right, bye. um,
After a vulnerable moment, goodbye.
I start crying. I'm like, okay,
Good talks.
bye. Hi. But yeah, I guess as a solution, I think I keep reminding myself like the fact that I have this feeling, and I have this feeling that's so different than all of the other things. Like, I wasn't even this passionate about getting my degree, and I was really passionate about that. And I didn't even feel this passionate about what I was doing back then as I do about this goal and this thing that I'm working on right now. So that's really is what gives me my reassurance. And again, I'm very much someone, my parents raised me to be someone who is driven by that intrinsic reward, that internal satisfaction, that internal fulfillment. So that is what keeps me going right now. And that's how I kind of self remedy. And I just know that, because I know that once I get this on the ground and once I start running with it, it's going to be such a huge like accomplishment that no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody has, and if, like whatever anybody's opinion on it is, or whatever happens, I could lose this thing. That doesn't matter. I know that once I get this on the ground, I will be so accomplished and feel like so proud of myself that even if it goes under in 5 to 10 years, which God forbid, like
Mm-hmm.
I will still have this feeling. So that's kind of how I self reassure.
Wow, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Let me share something with you.
Yes, of course.
When I started the season for season number
Mm-hmm.
4, for like trying to figure out your passions or
Mm-hmm.
your career path, I was so like passionate to share this, or like to try to give my people the answers,
Mm-hmm.
because I've what you described right now, like I have that feeling, like I have that passion. That's something. It's like that purpose, like
Mm-hmm.
it drives you every single day, and I want
Mm-hmm.
people to experience that. I want people to wake up with like that sense of purpose every day, because it's so powerful. It's like the the best feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of people are too concerned on like trying to figure out like a career path,
Mm-hmm.
like major wise. But I hope, I wish, I don't know how they'll do it. That was the whole purpose
Mm-hmm.
of this whole like season. But I hope they find something that makes them passionate, that gives them purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said right now, like that gives you so much life. Like I swear, that gives you so much life. And it's not even like the end goal. Like the end goal is really important, but like just the
Mm-hmm.
process of like having that hopes, like waking up every single day trying to
Yeah.
accomplish something, gives you so much life. And that's what I want people to like experience. But how do I like I'm sorry, I'm having a cough attack. Dang it, I cut my inspiration. But how do I share that,
Mm-hmm.
like how do I make, I don't want to make people have like the same passion, but
Right.
how do I spark that passion to others, because that's the whole purpose of this, like this season. I want people
Mm-hmm.
not to figure out their career path. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
mistake career with like passion, but I
Right.
want people to overall like find their passion. But I don't know how like to share it, because it's
Mm-hmm.
different for everyone, it's so different for everyone. And now that
Yeah.
you talked about it, like I heard it too,
Mm-hmm.
it's that passion that keeps you alive. And I hope people
Yeah.
can find it. But let's just try to come up with something. How do people find it? How can people find that? Because I
I
still
think,
don't know the answers.
yeah, and I think for you that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
It's like we can't be everything for everybody. And
Mm.
right now what you're doing is amazing. Like I've been keeping up with your Instagram, I've been listening to your podcast, girl.
Thank
Like
you.
you have been doing amazing. And I fully believe that you are what you attract in people.
Mm.
And those people who have those passion or have that little spark in them, when they get into contact with other people who that like for example like you, they have, or like there's someone out there who has that little spark, and then they come in contact with your podcast, and then that bursts the flame you know
Mm.
there's you what this does, what your podcast and what your mission for this thing that you're doing right now, this is what sparks that fire. This is what ignites that fire. So you are attracting
Mm.
people who already have that little part in them. And as
Mm-hmm.
much as we want to be able to figure this out and have a solution for everybody, we just talked about how everybody's solution is different.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
for you, I would say keep doing what you're doing. You are on such an amazing path. You are on such like an inspirational track, girl. Like I'm not even kidding. I was sharing this with my friend the other day, and I was like, look at what she's doing. Like she's literally like her second year of college, and she's doing this crazy thing that's so amazing. And like people dream about starting a podcast. People dream about like, oh, I want to be on social media and do this, and here you are doing it. So I think you are doing amazing and you talking about I want to be able to find the answer for people, like that is a true testament to your character and who you are as a person. So I just want to say that I'm really proud of you, and
Thank
don't
you.
put so much pressure on yourself to be like I need to figure this out for everybody, because that's like from my understanding that was what this whole purpose is that
Mm-hmm.
helping people find that understanding for themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh, Yeah. That- that's so true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. Cause I really hope, I really wish everyone the best. Like I really wish everyone the best, and I really hope that people find that spark, because that I feel like that can solve a lot of things, a lot of problems. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That makes so much sense. You're right. I cannot solve. I cannot again. I swear,
Pajarito,
dude.
pajarito, pajarito.
I cannot solve like everyone's problems. I can only do my best to share my passion, and hopefully people are there to like catch it and also like put it in themselves,
Of course, exactly.
You're right. Well,
Mhm.
thank you. Do you have any final thoughts? Do you want to finish this up?
Ooh, maybe something along the lines of like, it's okay to not have it figured out. Something like that, because it's like, the whole thing about like, we never stop learning, even till we're like 80, 90, 100 years old. We never stop learning. So,
Hopefully we get
and
to 100.
hopefully.
100 years old.
Yeah, literally.
You have
So,
dream hopes, girl. You have. She's like,
I have,
I'm gonna be,
I'm
I'm gonna be
trying to stay
alive till
around for
I'm
a
a.
long time.
She's like, hear me out. 120. I'm gonna be here.
I'm dead. I'm
Well,
dead.
okay, you're gonna continue learning till you're 100.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep learning till then. So, yeah, but to answer your question about what this podcast is, like something along the lines of like, it's okay not to have it figured out, or it's okay not to know like, what you want to do. I don't know, like something like that.
Like
Like,
everyone has a different path.
exactly. Yeah, something
In
like
the
that.
end, everyone's different.
Exactly. In the end, it's about yourself, because you're not living anybody else's life. You're living your own life, you know?
Damn, you're powerful. You are powerful,
I'm
and you
dead.
didn't wrote that down, so I feel pretty proud of you.
I know. I was like looking through my notes. I was like, damn, what can I pull out of here? But I don't
I
have
told you the
anything.
questions were gonna be kind of different,
Yeah.
but we switched the whole conversation up.
Yeah, literally. I like didn't even use my notes at all.
You just Modern Family. She's like,
Literally.
according to Modern Family,
So according to this show that I like to watch,
a really educational show that I like to watch. That's funny. With that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Honestly, I learned a lot. Like you changed my perspective like that. Like I was
aw.
able to see different perspectives, not only my own, and that's
Mm-hmm.
very powerful, and I thank you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me. This was so fun. I had such a
It
good
was a
time.
pleasure. We got to do it in person one day.
Yes, 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 we do.
Yes, have to. Well, everyone, thank you. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember to hug yourself and hug that crazy chaos of yours. You see Zainah hugging herself there. Hug yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.